how an end-to-end data flow happens in the network. So let's look at what's happening over here. We basically have end systems connected by means of some kind of an access network, followed by a number of routers, and then it finally reaches the end system. So this is the basic flow of data that is happening in a network. Now you can see that you have different types of end systems. We have mobile systems, you have desktop computers, you may have some handheld devices, all kinds of end devices would be there, and any of these end devices would be able to talk to any other end device. And if you look at the data flow, you can see that it always goes through a set of routers through various links before it reaches the network, before it reaches the end system. So this is the basic flow of data that has to happen in a network, and we just need to see how a layered model will help in such a data flow. Okay. Now if you look at general layers in an internetwork, this is something that we have also looked at in a previous episode. We can see that we normally have an application layer, a transport layer, a network layer, a link layer plus a MAC layer, and a physical layer. At least these 5 layers we can always identify as the minimum number of layers that are required in a network. Now before we look at why this layering is required, we will just look at an analogy. We will take an analogy of bus travel, which is something that we are all very familiar with. So let us say, for instance, you want to travel by bus. Let us just look at the series of operations that actually take place during this bus travel operation. So what is it that we do first? We purchase the ticket. Second thing that we will be doing is, you will go with your baggage. So you load your baggage onto the bus. Say for instance, if you are traveling long distance, you make sure that all your baggage gets loaded on top of the bus. Then you get into the bus, which is boarding the bus. The bus starts, and then the bus goes through different routes and finally reaches the destination. At the destination, you can again see that it gets routed into the bus stand. It will reach the destination, then you get off the bus, which we call as unboarding. Then you claim your baggage, and then you pick up your baggage, and then you walk out. And before you walk out, if you have any complaints to make, you again go to the ticket counter, you make the complaints and go off. So you can see that there are a series of steps that take place both at the starting station, at the ending station, and there is a bus routing that happens in between. So now let us just look at how this same bus travel can be organized and looked at from a different point of view. So let us just look at what happens with respect to ticket. Now there is always a purchase of ticket that takes place, and similarly complaints with regard to tickets can happen at the ticket counter. So these are two operations can happen at the ticket counter. Similarly, baggage loading and baggage unloading. You normally have a set of people who will be helping you with loading the baggage, who will get on top of the bus and put it on top of the bus, and similarly take it from the bus, top of the bus, and give it to you. So one is at the sending end, one is at the receiving end. So you have loading and unloading that happens as the second unit of work that needs to be done. Third, if you look at, you are getting into the bus and you are getting off the bus. So it is basically you are getting into the bus and off the bus. Bus starts, bus reaches destination, and in between the bus gets routed through different routes, through different roads that it takes, and it finally reaches the destination. So now we can look at each layer as implementing a particular service. So now if each layer implements a service, how does it do that? It has its own internal layer actions. So when a ticket is purchased, so that ticket has some information in it. So when a complaint is lodged at the other end, you will be able to understand that it is with respect to this particular ticket that this information, this complaint is being lodged. So there is some kind of internal information, internal layer actions which are done at each of these layers, and in order to do each of that layer services, it relies on the services that are provided by the layer below. For instance, if you just purchase a ticket, if you do not know that you can take that ticket and go and board a bus, there will be no use of having that ticket. So what you do is you purchase the ticket, pick up your baggage, go and get into the bus, then the bus starts, and then the bus gets routed and finally reaches the destination. So now if you have this kind of a view, let us look at it a little more differently now. Let us look at how this same functionality at different layers gets implemented at different places. Okay, for instance, just take the departing bus station. If you take the departing bus station, we have ticket purchase, baggage check, getting loaded at the gates, that is you are entering the bus starts and bus routing. All these things are things which take place at the departing bus station. So similarly at the arriving bus station, you have the bus reaching the place, then you are getting off the bus, then you claim your baggage, and then you make a ticket complaint. So this is at the arriving station. At the intermediate bus terminals, the buses are getting routed. For instance, if you are going from one station to another station, there are many intermediate terminals that you may visit. Typically what happens at that terminal is that the bus will be probably routed to go from one place to another place. So this is you can look at this as a distribution of the different functionalities that is happening in a network. in a bus travel. So the same thing is what we are going to look at with respect to a network. So the same thing if you look at from a network point of view. So let us look at the distribution of network layers in a network. So now the layers in a network. So let's look at what's happening at the end system. At the end systems, you have the application layer, the transport layer, network layer, link layer, and the physical layer. So data will typically go down from the application layer all the way to the physical layer and then traverse through the network. At the intermediate routers, you may not have all the 5 layers, but you may just have the functionality which is required for doing that job. That is, you have the physical layer, the link layer, and the network layer. Say only 3 layers are required over here. And then at the end systems again, where the data is to be received, you again have the same 5 layers: physical layer, link layer, network layer, transport layer, and application layer. So you can see how the data flows across the network through the various layers.